What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be looking at some parts I got in the mail for the B230 red block. The motor I did get dropped off at the machine shop. As you can see, it's missing. So it is at the machine shop, getting the cylinders bored over and getting the head surface machined and all that. So I did get the rods and pistons in. I did leave the machine shop with one of the pistons so they can make sure they get that sized properly. I did call Wiseco, and for the piston to wall clearance, it's 3.5 thousandths, and they said with the amount of boost I'm gonna be running, they said 4.5 to 5 thousandths. So they're gonna go ahead and just do the 4.5 thousandths on it. And also got the connecting rods. So first we're gonna look at the pistons, and we'll just take a decent one out. So these are the Wiseco 96.5 millimeter pistons. You can see they are the deeper dish. I think the dishing is smaller than the factory ones, but overall just your regular pistons. So these should work just fine. They come with wrist pins and all of the retaining clips and all that. They even come with the rings, of course. So we have all the rings here. The part number, let's see if I can get that for you guys so you can see which part number I got in case y'all want to order. So there's the part number there. Hopefully y'all can read that. But those are just your basic pistons. Forged pistons, I should say. Leave those up here. I think I paid $710 for those, including shipping, or may have had to pay shipping on it. So next, we have the connecting rods. And I did go with the Max Peating Rod brand connecting rods, just because Drifts and Lifts has used them. They weren't much more expensive or cheaper than the ones from like Yoshi Fab and all that. They look similar to the ones at Yoshi Fab. I'm not sure if it's made in the same manufacturer or not, but you see you get your decal and you also get all of the instructions and paperwork. And as far as connecting rods go, they're packaged pretty nice. They come with an oil coating on them and like a wax paper, so I'll be leaving them in there until I get the block back and I can assemble the rotating assembly. But there is your connecting rod. They are indeed pretty nice. I've read a lot of reviews on these, and people said that they are exceeding their expectations, and they actually do use ARP 2000 hardware. So hopefully they hold up to what I'm going to do. If not, then just have to buy some better rods. So you can see we have the ARP 2000 hardware. Probably blurry, but it says ARP 2000 up there. So got all 4 connecting rods, got all the pistons, and I think I have my bearings. I'll grab the bearings so y'all can see what bearings I decided to go with. I did do the Glico bearings, just because everybody seems to use those that make a lot of power. So I figured, why not use those? Put this back in there. Keep it all nice and sealed up until the day comes to make some nice power. So these rods were, I think, $430 shipped. They did come from Canada, so they took about 4 or 5 days to get here. So hopefully these rods and pistons will handle the power that I plan on putting through the motor. So if y'all want to follow the build and see if it blows up or if it holds the power, here's a test of the B230 Max Peating Rod connecting rods. So I'm gonna grab those bearings real quick and I'll be right back. So we did get the Glico connecting rod bearings. There's the part number there. I got standard size because my crank doesn't need to be turned still pretty nice. There's no marring, there's no scoring, there's no nothing like that in there. And I've yet to open these to see if they fit the rods. They should fit the rods. In fact, I might open them up and see if they do fit. Well, maybe. I might wait till the motor's together, we can figure that out. But there's the bearings there. They come packaged quite nicely. So those are the rod bearings. And here are the main bearings where you have the part number. I got these all from IPD. They did have them in stock finally. I think that's part number up there. It'd be hard to say if that is or not, but it might be the IPD part number there, in case y'all need that. And they are packaged the same. A nice piece of cardboard. There are the main bearings there, so y'all can see those. And thinking they should work just fine. Should hold the power that I need them to, as long as the tune's right and we don't have any detonation issues. But yeah, I think that is about it. As you can see here, I did get the balance shaft out. I think I'm going to go ahead and order the new water pump and get that mounted to the block before I put the head on, or after I put the head on, whichever. Get all this stuff assembled on the block, finally get it pieced back together. I think we're going to keep the oil filter housing the way it is, since we're doing the upright turbo setup. I can run the regular oil filter housing as it is, and I can run my AN fittings off of the what do you call those, the oil cooler ports, and run my auxiliary oil cooler. But yeah, everything is looking quite spectacular for this build so far. Other than that, I guess I could talk about why I sold the pit bike. It's obviously gone. So the reason I sold that was because I didn't ride it as much since I started building this car. My brother's building his C10. He just got his 6.2 liter back from Henson. Locally, it's a machine shop, probably performance shop, machine shop. He got his 6.2 back, got it all together. Hopefully my schedule might line up with his and I can go over there and film some of the assembly of the motor. Fingers crossed I can. But I am switching jobs. So I'm in between two jobs right now. It kind of sucks because, you know, the job I'm at now, my last day is the 9th, my surgery's the 11th, and I start the 15th. So surgery won't be covered under insurance, but regardless, I got to get that done. So I did sell the pit bike to just get some money for that surgery, I guess you could say. Have a couple hundred for what it's going to cost up front, you know, to get out the door and get that done, and then whatever bills show up after that. But also I didn't ride it as much, and whatever's left over I want to put back into that the 740, just because I think I'm going to enjoy that a little more. You know, take my daughter for rides in it, take my wife and all that, go cruise around since the weather's going to start getting nice if I can get it running by then. I don't know if I'm going to throw the automatic in there and run the automatic until it blows up, or if I'm going to, you know, sell it and stay with the trans. It, you know, probably be a couple more months before I can get that transmission and stuff and the clutch kit and all that together to get it running and driving. But we'll see what we can do. Other than that, you know, I think if I want to get another one, I'll probably end up buying like a KLX 110 or a CRF 110. Just something that's, you know, 110, you know, 4 or 5 speed manual, like clutch bike, and do a big bore on that whenever it wears out, and just have a bike a little bigger. That bike was fun. It fit my size pretty good, but I think I'm gonna step it up and go to like a 110, and just have that if I plan on doing another bike. But I want to get this car together, get it running, and get it on the road. Have fun, and I already got a dyno that I can rent out for the day. It's like $200 or $300 for a whole day. So it's a buddy I know, it's XP Racing, and he said that he can help me tune it. A couple of his guys that work up there have dealt with the micro squirts, So if I can get a base tune going to where I can just drive it, to his shop and do all the fine tuning on his dyno, we can see the power number we put down. We can see what kind of power it makes from a mild tune to a hot tune where we're pushing the boost that we need to. I don't know what day that's going to be. I got to get all these nickel and dime things taken care of. Once the motor's in there, it's not going to be as simple as hooking up the intercooler and going. I got to buy the Do 88 intercooler. I'm going to have my buddy Josh fab up the cold side tubing. I'm going to have to get the wastegates, the blow-off valves and wastegates, all that stuff. I'm going to have to get all that. And then it's not a whole lot. It's just a bunch of nickel and dime. I think we're making good headway on that list. In fact, I think I have the list set in here somewhere so I can. My wife is working from home, so it's a little messy in here. I know I have the list in here that I can probably go off of and see what exactly I'm lacking, but it's in here somewhere. I think that just the main stuff, it's going to be Deech work injectors. I already have the turbo picked out, and I'm going to run a whole set HX40 with, I think, an HX35 hot side, so it'll spool up a little quicker. It's going to be a billet wheel ceramic ball bearing turbo. It's around $1,000. So that's one big expense, and then I'm going to have the transmission and clutch kit. Clutch kit from Yoshi Fab's like $1,300. That's a lightweight flywheel clutch, pressure plate, all that stuff. And then I'm going to have to get the transmission, the adapter plate, the throwout bearing adapter sleeve, master cylinder, pedal setup. I'm going to have to get all that stuff. So we're looking at, probably $2,500 there just for the transmission. And then after that, it's all a couple $100 parts here and there. We have the micro squirt from Yoshi Fab, about $450 with harness. So I'm going to take my old harness connectors, terminate the leads. And then we have, the intercooler, which is probably another $400 or $500. We're going to have the cold side tubing and the exhaust that we're going to have ran. I think I'm just going to do, with it being an upright turbo, I might just do the usual, if it'll clear the hood, just run a bullhorn out the top of the hood. I know it's probably trashy to some people, but if the hood doesn't fit, then I'll be running a bullhorn. If it does fit, I'll see about running a downpipe to full 3-inch exhaust out the back. But I might run it with no hood for now, just do the bullhorn to get it driving. And then, we'll have that stuff. We're looking at a couple $100 there to get the cold side and the hot side done. Luckily, it's straight from intercooler to throttle body. It's a pretty straight shot. I think I can actually use my original piping and run it from intercooler to throttle body side. So I might just need the cold side piping fabbed up from turbo to intercooler, and he'll weld in the wastegate and all that, the blow-off valve. And other than that, just the piddly fittings for the block for the turbo, the oil lines. I'm going to have to block off the coolant line ports because that turbo is not cooled by coolant. It's oil cooled. So I'm going to be running a pretty thick and pretty beefy oil cooler on the front, and that will help cool oil down even more to keep that turbo cool. I might have to get a restrictor maybe for the turbo, the oil feed side. Oil drain, I think I got that all figured out. I got that Yoshi Fab fitting pressed in the block, and I got that billet adapter that might fit on this whole set. That'll be the drain. So I just got to run -10 line, however I need down to that drain. And I think I'm going to focus on just getting it running and driving, and then we'll do wheels, tires, suspension, all that. Even though I want to get the wheels and tires on there and just get it looking really good. I could even do the typical, cut a coil or two out of the springs and drop it down. I know a lot of guys in the turbo brake community just cut the springs, some by the IPD springs. but ultimately I'll be running BC coilovers with the classic Swede angle kit. If you haven't seen the angle kit for those, they're a nice piece of machinery. Um, it's all CNC billet, so it looks good. With the wheels I'm doing, I think you'll be able to see almost all of that billet, control arm, and all that, the spacers, all that good stuff, tie rod ends. So that'll be doing an angle kit because I might drift around with it for a little bit. But I think I'm going to focus on getting the motor back in the car, and I don't need a transmission hooked up to get it running. So I'm probably going to get it put back in the car, and I might just have the jack support the motor from the oil pan and fire it up, try to get it running in the car. I want to hear this thing run like real bad, but we'll probably do that. Transmission and clutch and all that, do it last. I can do the transmission and clutch under the car, or I could load the transmission in the back and trailer it up to maybe Swedish, and we could use the lift to do the transmission and all that. But who knows? We'll see. So that's the update on the car. Slowly getting parts in. Like I said, there is going to be a delay on videos coming out. Just because I'm in between jobs, have the surgery. I don't know what my recoup time is going to be like after the surgery. If I'm going to be down for a couple of days, just tired and worn out. But we're slowly going to get some parts. Like I said, it's just a lot of life-changing things going on. So I'm going to deal with that since that comes first. Projects always, second. Just got to make sure I'm good and the family's good before I, start messing with the car. But yeah, if y'all have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I'll try to answer them the best I can. I think the hardest thing I'm going to have to source for this build is the main cap girdle that uses the stock main cap bolts. So I'm going to run stock main cap bolts. There's been plenty of guys making over 500 horsepower using stock main bolts. So I'm just going to use OEM replacements. And they had this, it's the main cap girdle, and it had spacers that go on top of the main caps, and your bolts went through. I think it came with Allen bolts to go through there that are a little longer. There's no studs needed. So, and it says it uses the same torque spec as the stock bolts. So I'll probably end up running that if I can source one and find one. I can't seem to find a main cap, a main girdle or block girdle anywhere. So I'm gonna try to get a hold of this person that made a video of their motor and see if I can't find out where they got it or if they made it themselves, if they want to sell one. But yeah, that's gonna be I think the worst part to source. I think I'm gonna need that if I'm gonna run over 500 horsepower. I think I'm gonna need that so we don't have any crank deflection and stuff. Gonna do ARP head studs. The main studs, I didn't decide not to go with them just because there's guys running them with no problem, and there's also guys running stock bolts with a lot of power, no issue. So the cost comparison, I think I'm just gonna go with the stock bolts. Some say you might have to line bore the mains. Some say you don't have to. Some guys say throw them in there and don't worry about it. With the bolts, I don't have to worry about anything. I guess they can handle the power. I don't have to worry about any line boring or nothing like that. So we're just gonna rock that route. ARP head studs, because that's a must. On my old 940, I'm pretty sure I was lifting a head around 20 to 25 psi of boost because I was getting pressure in the cooling system and I blew out the heater control valve. And I think the only way that can really happen is because the RPM in the motor stays the same. I mean, it's 4,000 RPMs, 5,000 RPMs, 6,000 RPMs. So the water pump's turning still the same. That water pump should be able to produce more pressure than at any RPM given the amount of boost it had. So I'm pretty sure it's lifting a head because I noticed the coolant tank was getting a little, not like frothy, but a little bit of soot buildup in there every now and then. But there's no, I ran my head gasket checker, the combustion in the cooling system, the blue liquid turns yellow, blah, blah, blah. I was checking with that. Didn't have a problem, but around like 20 plus PSI, I'm pretty sure it's pushing past the head gasket, and then once I let off, because I didn't stay wide open for a long time on that. I was just out there having fun, first, second, maybe third gear, and then just let out of it. And it blew the heater control valve out on me and my father-in-law, so limped it back, and it was leaking coolant, and I drove it like 30-45 minutes back home, and it never overheated. And so I just bypassed the heater core, and I sold it to a guy and let him know the issue with it, all this and that, and he hooked the heater back up, and he sends me a video of it going to like 30 plus psi. I'm like, man, I wouldn't run that amount of boost because that turbo is overworking. It was a 16T, and I'm pretty sure at 20 psi I was overworking it, like 18, 20, that's probably tops. And he ended up blowing the heater core up in the car, and then the car ended up blowing up. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's lifting ahead. So head studs on this build is what I'm going to run, so I don't have to worry about that, get some even torque. And then yeah, I think that's it for this video, really. Just the rods and pistons, I got those in the other day. And the turbo's next. Once I get the motor back to the machine shop, I'm going to assemble the rotating assembly and get the oil pan back on just to seal it up from the elements, and get the head just set on there to help seal it up from the elements. There's no cam in the head, so all the valves are shut. But yeah, I'm just trying to get that thing sealed back up, and probably have it either leave it in here, buy a clean engine stand and leave it in here until I'm ready, or put it on the engine stand out in the garage or in the shop and leave it out there. If I get the head studs, I shouldn't worry about it. You know, just torque the head down, it'll be sealed up. Pour oil in it, and you know, just give it a quick turnover with the crank, or you know, start or whatever, just to make sure it gets oil sent through the oil passages. But yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Appreciate everyone that's been watching and staying up to date on the videos. The views make me feel good about this build, knowing that there's people that actually want to, like, you know, watch it and stay up, even if it's you know 30-40 people, whatever. But yeah, if you have anybody that you know that might be interested in it, or if you know anybody else that you know might want to subscribe to the channel, let them know. Subscribers help out. It is free, so just do what you want to do. I'll be putting content out no matter what. Doesn't matter, you know, if we have 1 million subscribers, if we have 2 subscribers. So I'll be putting out content. It's just going to help me keep track of the build, and hopefully help you guys, you know, with your build that you're doing. Whatever I do, I wouldn't say I'm professional, so I wouldn't completely go off of what I'm doing or how I do it. I might learn the hard way. It might go smooth. Who knows? So yeah, as always, like the video, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and we will see you in the next one, hopefully soon. Peace.